What if the greatest illusion of the human soul is not disbelief, but the belief that we already belong to God, while secretly clinging to the world more tightly than anyone else? What if the claim of closeness to Allah becomes the very veil that distances the heart? In these three verses of Surah Al-Baqarah, the Quran does not merely address a historical community. It exposes a timeless spiritual disease that can quietly live inside any religious heart. Listen carefully, because these verses are not meant to be read. They are meant to be felt. Verse 94. Say, if the home of the hereafter with Allah is exclusively for you and not for other people, then wish for death if you are truthful. Say. In the Sufi gaze, this single word already carries depth. Allah commands the Prophet, peace be upon him, to say not to argue, not to insult, not to condemn. Truth does not need noise, it needs clarity. When divine truth speaks, it speaks calmly, confidently, and without fear. The seeker learns from this that spiritual authority is quiet, not aggressive. If the home of the hereafter with Allah is exclusively for you. This phrase exposes a subtle arrogance of the ego. Spiritually, it refers not only to a historical claim of chosenness, but to an inner assumption. I am safe, I am special, I am already accepted. The Sufis say the most dangerous distance from God is when the servant feels no distance at all. When the ego declares spiritual ownership, paradise is ours, it stops seeking, stops trembling, stops softening. With Allah, notice the Quran does not say paradise here, but with Allah. The Sufi understands this distinction deeply. Paradise is not gardens and rivers. It is proximity, nearness, presence. If one truly loves Allah, the heart longs not for reward, but for meeting. A lover does not delay reunion. Exclusively for you and not for other people. This exposes spiritual exclusivism, the belief that divine mercy is narrow and tribal. The Sufi tradition consistently teaches that when the heart narrows, the divine presence withdraws. Allah's mercy is vast. Only egos make it small. Then wish for death. Here lies the spiritual shock. Death in Sufism is not annihilation, it is unveiling. The lover does not fear death because death is merely the door to union. If someone claims closeness to Allah yet clings desperately to worldly life, their claim is exposed as hollow. If you are truthful, truthfulness is the axis of the spiritual path. Not outward piety, not lineage, not slogans. Truthfulness. The Sufis say, one truthful sigh outweighs years of false worship. These words pierce the heart, asking, if I truly believe in the hereafter, why does my soul panic at the thought of leaving this world? Verse 95. But they will never wish for it, ever, because of what their hands have sent ahead, and Allah is fully aware of the wrongdoers. But they will never wish for it. This is not prediction, it is diagnosis. The soul knows itself. The tongue may lie, but the heart cannot. A heart heavy with attachment cannot long for departure. The Sufi sees this as a mirror held up to the self. Fear of death is not fear of annihilation. It is fear of exposure. Ever. This word seals the statement. It indicates a spiritual paralysis. When the heart becomes accustomed to comfort, dominance, or worldly security, it loses the courage to face truth. Because of what their hands have sent ahead. Hands symbolize action, not beliefs, not claims, actions. Sufism insists that the soul is shaped not by what it says, but by what it repeatedly does. Every act leaves a trace. Every injustice hardens the heart. Every hypocrisy thickens the veil. The phrase sent ahead is terrifying and beautiful at once. Nothing is lost. Every intention travels forward. The seeker feels a subtle shiver here. What have my hands sent ahead? And Allah is fully aware. This awareness is not surveillance, it is intimacy. Allah's knowing is not distant observation. It is closer than the jugular vein. For the sincere seeker, this brings comfort. For the corrupt soul, It brings dread of the wrongdoers. Wrongdoing here is not merely oppression of others. It is injustice to one's own soul. To live disconnected from truth while pretending closeness to God is the deepest zulm. Verse 96. And you will surely find them the most greedy of people for life, even more than those who associate partners with Allah. One of them wishes he could be granted a life of 1,000 years, but that will not remove him from punishment, and Allah sees all that they do. You will surely find them. Certainty again. The Qur'an speaks with the calm confidence of reality. The Sufi learns to observe souls, not with judgment, but with insight. The most greedy of people for life. Greed for life is not love of existence. It is fear of accountability. The Sufis say, the one who has tasted presence is not afraid of absence. Clinging to life reveals a soul that has not tasted the sweetness of remembrance. Even more than those who associate partners with Allah. This comparison is shocking. It suggests that spiritual arrogance can be darker than open disbelief. Why? Because the idolater knows he is distant, but the self-righteous believe they are already close. One of them wishes he could be granted a life of 1,000 years. This is the fantasy of delay, not transformation, postponement. The ego does not seek purification. It seeks extension. The Sufi path, however, is not about length of life, but depth of life. But that will not remove him from punishment. Time does not save the soul. Only truth does. Only surrender does. Only inner death before physical death does. And Allah sees all that they do. The ending returns to divine witnessing. Nothing is hidden. This is not meant to terrify, but to awaken. When the seeker realizes they are always seen, pretension dissolves and sincerity is born. Closing reflection. These verses are not condemning a people, they are diagnosing a condition. Any heart that claims closeness to Allah, but fears meeting Him must pause. Any soul that speaks of the hereafter, but clings desperately to this world, must reflect. The true Sufi does not rush toward death, but neither does he flee from it. He lives awake, accountable, softened, and honest. If these verses stirred something inside you, if you felt a tightening in your chest or a quiet question rising in your heart, do not ignore it. This is not entertainment, it is awakening. Stay with this journey, subscribe, reflect, and walk with us verse by verse. Not to claim closeness to Allah, but to seek it sincerely. The next unveiling may change the way you see yourself forever.